Hello all and welcome to my channel. So I recently seen this video that sparked an interesting conversation and I definitely want to react to it, and also I want to hear what you guys say because it's really interesting. And the conversation was, let me find the video again because this video is awesome. The reason why Americans can't afford a family. That is a very interesting conversation because it seems like a lot of people are forfeiting having a family. They're just bypassing it and not deciding to have kids. It's a big conversation. The one thing people say is money. So I definitely want to react to this video, guys. And also, listen, I love supporting these small channels. Subscribe to this channel. That's where I got the video from. It's called Large Man Abroad. I love reacting to small channels because they need love. They're providing great information out there. And he is as well. I watched some of his videos and it's really good. But this is the one I want to react to because I thought that conversation was an interesting conversation. At the same time, guys, hit the like and subscribe to my channel as well. Let's get straight to this video.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. We have our coffee. Let's just get into it. The family's always been kind of the cornerstone of civilization. And I think in no time in the past has it been more difficult to have one today. As most of my viewership seems to be a bit older, I think there's a misconception that, people they don't want to have kids anymore. They don't want to have a family, that this is a nation of individualism. But I think the sentiment to kind of move away from family has been one that's developed out of necessity. Because for the most part, the fact is, people have been priced out of having a family. The most basic want that people have as they get older, people have been priced out of.
Now, that is a conversation that I have plenty of times. Well, a lot of my friends who don't have kids, and they just look at me like I'm insane because I have kids and have no idea how I did it, especially during these times. And he does have a point. It does feel like it's getting to a point where people are getting extremely priced out to having a family, which is really unfortunate. Having a family, I have a son and a daughter, it's an amazing thing. I would say this though, this is just my opinion. You guys let me know how you feel about it. I have no idea how I was able to do it, right? I have no idea how I was able to have my kids in the financial situation that I was in. I was not making a lot of money, right? When I first started my career and I had my son, I was probably making like $40,000 to $50,000, right? And to put that perspective, I was living down here in Florida and Orlando, right? And my son right now is 17. So this is, let's say 18 years ago, that was my current situation. And when my wife said she was pregnant, I was like, okay, great. I'm thinking, damn, how am I gonna be able to make it? I was able to make it. I don't know how, but I was able to make it. If I were to sit down and analyze everything, like the cost of groceries, the cost of diapers and college tuition and daycare and all that stuff, I would have never had a child. But there's something about when you just go in and you dive in, it just works. Now, I'm not saying that's the approach you should take because, you do want to assess the situation. But when it comes to parenting, it just seems like things just always work out. It just does. I know it makes no sense. But it just seems like it always works out. So I feel like now, though, in these current times, people are analyzing the situation and they're overanalyzing it. And if they're struggling themselves, right, they can't find a place for them to stay. They're living in their parents' house. They have student loan debt. They have all this debt. Of course, they're thinking, how in the world am I bringing a child into this life? How am I bringing a child into this life when I can't even take care of myself? That is the unfortunate thing that's going on right now. But it's an interesting conversation because I feel like it just works. People just make it work. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any kids and you feel like you just make it work? It just works out of miraculously? Or did you actually just sit there and analyze it and you made a decision to have a kid based upon you recognizing, okay, I have enough money for daycare, diapers, or whatnot? I would love to hear that comment. Let's continue with this story.
The other day in one of my videos, there was a comment that really got me thinking. Because at first I thought $130,000 a year, this should be enough for anyone to have a family, for anyone to start off, for anyone to start building from. And I think that the comment itself demanded a little bit more attention. So it went like this. I make $80,000 a year and my wife makes $50,000 a year. We both work full-time. We have 2 kids and own a house. We live in a relatively low cost of living area in comparison to the city, but we are struggling. Luckily, my wife is able to work from home, so we don't have to put our children in daycare because just the cost of that alone would take all of my wife's income. In 2019, we were literally living on my salary alone and we still had a little disposable income. but now it seems impossible. Our grocery bill has doubled, the power bill has doubled, and they're trying to raise the rate by an additional 22% this year. Water bill is up 30%, health insurance up $120 a month for worse coverage. Our mortgage has skyrocketed up $700 a month from an increased property taxes and insurance. Car repairs have doubled, etc., etc., etc. All between 2019 and now. It's absolutely insane.
Okay, now first of all, like, he's breaking down how much money they make. That sounds great. And it seems like he has already 2 kids and he has a house, so he's making it work. And he's saying his wife is not working because daycare is expensive, which, by the way, it is. Daycare is super duper expensive. That's probably the number one highest expense when you don't have, someone to watch your kids, like your parents or whatever, is daycare. Let's be quite honest. Grandparents now are old. I mean, they're younger. They want to go out on vacation, whatnot. They're not, old school grandmas are not around anymore. They're gone, right? The old school grandma, we stay home, take care of your the grandkids. That's not a thing anymore. That's out the window. So now you got to take care. You either go to daycare, which is ridiculously expensive, or someone pretty much doesn't work anymore and stays home. Regardless, you're gonna take a hit. You're gonna take a hit one way or another. And it seems like the most common thing that people do is the wife stays home until the kids reach a certain age to go to school, then they go back. That's the situation I had as well. My wife stayed home. She was able to watch the kids because it really, her whole check was pretty much going into daycare plus some, all right, plus extra. It was just ridiculous. So she stayed home, and that was a hit, right? It was a hit, but in the end, we figured it out. Now, he's saying groceries double, power double, like all of this. Listen, I don't know how true that is. I've never experienced my utilities doubling based upon just the insurance company, the utility company increasing it. Usually it's me, extra people in my house, running my AC more, and groceries doubling. 100% increase on all your groceries. You see, I think when people are just struggling and they're frustrated, what they see is they magnify the situation like huge. They make it sound like it's the biggest catastrophe that they're going to, and it feels like that's what he is saying when he's breaking it down. The person that he's talking about in the story, they probably just are fed up and they're seeing everything is like doomsday, but it's not that bad, but it is bad, right? It is bad, but I don't know plenty of people out there that feel like when they have a kid, they don't feel like, they're drowning. Because you're drowning emotionally, because you're not getting any sleep. Your money is just, you're seeing go down the drain because it is expensive to have a kid. It's a lot. It's a lot going on with a child. It's not only just a financial aspect. Like I mentioned, it's an emotional aspect of having a kid that people just don't want to deal with. And it's hard, right? It's hard. But people are getting by, and people are making it. So that's my opinion.
And this was a popular comment, and it was a little bit divisive. At first glance, you'd think $130,000 a year, that's a lot of money, right? People strive to get 6 figures. How can you be living paycheck to paycheck? And as someone who's starting a family, as someone who's a new homeowner, I really wanted to kind of dig into this a little bit to see where he was coming from. So the first thing I did was look at the taxes. $130,000 after taxes is $92,000. That's $7,715 a month. And if you're single, I think that you're like, oh, this is a dream scenario. I could have an amazing life with that much money. But when you're talking about a couple with 2 kids, and this is, of course, the average nuclear family, costs are going to go up. So the first cost in the comment was, of course, daycare and how it would take his wife's entire paycheck. I don't have a kid yet, and I didn't know the cost of daycare, and I didn't think it could possibly be so expensive. So just looking at the national average, we're looking at $321 per week, but that actually goes up to $1,000 a week, and typically that's just for 2 days of daycare per week.
I do agree. When I had daycare for my kid, it was like $500, I think, a week. No, I'm lying. It was $300 a week. That is one kid. He was a newborn. That was expensive. And that was almost 18, 19 years ago before my wife decided I was 17 years ago before my wife decided, it's getting ridiculous. It was ridiculously high. But making $130,000 obviously depends on where you live. But daycare, man, it's just one of those things, man, that it's just expensive. right? It's just expensive. And it makes me think, though. This is the thing about this story that makes me think. You guys let me know how you feel. I feel like it's always been hard to have kids. I feel like it's not harder now compared to it was before. And hear me out before you beat me up in a comment. I think now we just want our kids to have so much of things that maybe we missed out on. We want to give them so much, which is true. You could do that. You love your kid, you want to give them all, but you can't give them everything. You can't give them everything because the reality is you still got to live life. You still got to save, invest. You still got to do a bunch of things in your life as well. You can't just do all those things for the kids. That's the harsh reality. You can't always take them to Disney. You can't take them on Disney cruises. There's so many things that you just cannot do. I grew up in a household. My mom worked as a medical billing. My dad was a trucker, and I was born in 81. So in the 80s and 90s. And we didn't grow up rich. We didn't have it all. We lived in a 2-bedroom house, and it was like 6 people living in a house. So I had to share a room with a bunk bed with my brothers. I mean, we were really, really tight. I'm not traumatized by that, right? But the problem is nowadays people like have a baby, get a big ass house, right? Get an SUV. Like you start adding all these things, and then you feel bad, like, oh, my baby is not in the SUV. They're not living in a house the way I used to live in a house, so they won't have the same memories how I did. And it's like you can't do that. You just cannot do that. And I feel like a lot of times people get themselves into a bind because they want what's best for the kid. Not what's best for the kid, what they think is best for the kid. But in reality, it's all about just having a happy home and a stable home. That's it. The kid is not going to get traumatized about the fact he couldn't go to Disney. All that stuff, they're not going to get traumatized by that. That's just my opinion. If you want to be smart, you got to be strategic, and it's only for a certain period of time in your life, right? Until your kid goes to kindergarten and whatnot. And after that, send to public school, everything gets back to normal. So 4 or 5 years of dealing with it, and then you're done.
So if we're averaging that out, we're looking at $650. Now, if you have 2 kids, double that. Now you have $1,300 a week. So realistically, what you're looking at is $5,200 a month just for daycare for your 2 kids. If you're looking for the entire week for them to be watched while you and your spouse or you and your partner go and work and try to get a living. This is $64,000 a year. This is more than his wife's income. And it blows my mind because people want to work. But if the cost to have children in daycare so you can go work, it costs more than the income that you're going to bring in. I mean, you just can't afford daycare. Somebody has to be a stay-at-home parent at that point.
Yeah, and that's the harsh reality of it all. And this sucks because usually it's the mother, right? The mother's one that stays home. They're missing out on time in their career due to the fact of spending time with the kids. And there's a gap. It gets crazy, and I wish it was easier. I really wish it was easier. I really wish it was an easier solution, but there isn't. This seems to be something that's been happening for generations, right? If you send your kid to childcare, it's going to be expensive. Simple as that. The good thing is a lot of these jobs now, they offer daycare services in the facility at work. They might offer some discounts. They're flexible. You can do work from home now, so you can work from home and have the kids at the same time. So now things are a lot more flexible than they used to be. But of course, we're hearing in the news right now, they're talking about ending the whole working from home and having the whole return to the office policy getting put in place. Who knows? It's a mess. But the whole moral of the story is, guys, it is difficult, right, to have a kid during these times. It is difficult, but it can be done. It takes strategic planning and being honest with yourself and understanding that the lifestyle that you want to have might not be the lifestyle that you can have. You might need to slow down for a little bit and move slowly until you get to a point, like I said earlier, to go in kindergarten and you're right back to doing whatever it is that you want to do. Well, anyway, guys, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole situation, because to me, it is really interesting and it's fascinating. Catch you guys in my next video. Peace.